Well, Chris, thanks for the message. It should all be live. It's all up and running, so we will see what's going on now. But we are here for the race. We have had qualifying. Just to update anybody that's missed that, we have had qualifying. We are going to go straight into the race now with the GT3s and the GT4s. We've got Charlie Crossland on pole position for the GT3s, and we have Yannick Muller on pole position for the GT4s. Yannick Muller with a time of 1:34.743, and I believe Charlie Crossland's time is a 1:26.319. So some good times from those lads, but again, it's going to be a different story now when they actually get onto the grid and the lights go green, because obviously there is going to be, I think there's 31 cars on the grid. So Craner Curves, Old Hairpin, it's all going to be a little bit hairy scary for the first lap or so, I think, Brian.
Oh yeah. First corner's never easy. Hopefully the guys take it nice, easy, and hopefully coming down through these fast left-hand corners, right-hand corners. A lot can happen, but hopefully they come quickly into a stride and sort of like they know who's fastest, and they also know who they are closest to just about the lap time. So I'm guessing Chris is going to he's going to take off in a big time.
Charlie.
Sorry, Charlie, and leave the others behind. But I still see a good battle behind them, definitely.
Yeah, I think you may be right. I think that will be in Charlie's mind that is what he's wanting to do. But I know from what I'm seeing at the moment from the monitor on track, it is raining. So this is going to be a wet race.
Okay.
So the difficulty level has just gone up 100%. With the mixed class, and yeah, it's a bit of an evil laugh to have at these guys, because it was going to be a difficult enough race anyway around Donington with multi-class, but now we throw into the mix that it is raining and it's looking like it's going to be a very wet track. So yeah, Charlie Crossland is going to try and get away with the lights. Obviously, he had that half a second advantage on pace, but wet weather, it can lead to mistakes. Donington's not a forgiving track. There are some wide runoffs, but when you run off, you do lose a lot of time, and you can get a long way from the track and find yourself with a long way to find your way back on. And if you do that in the early part, when you've got 31 cars travelling around trying to find a safe place to rejoin, you can lose a lot of positions. So it's going to be difficult for the guys. Just going to say hello to Cameron Fife. We've got him on chat this evening. Hello to Mr. Pinchbeck. Hope you enjoy the stream, guys. Hope the quality is good enough for you, and hope you enjoy what you're about to see. And probably Mr. Pinchbeck, I think you should have been on here and racing with these guys, and you might have been up at the front row with the guys. And he says, get Brian to do his laugh.
Oh yeah, old Pinchbeck. Yeah, I would have seen him on here, definitely. He would have been. Yeah, he would have been up there in the battle for sure. But coming back to the start, it's all about the first corner. If he gets away or not. If he gets a little bit of a bad start, he's going to be held up in traffic. And now with the rain, it's going to be very difficult. But in the end, if it's going to help with the multi-class, could be. GT3s have to slow down, definitely. So maybe it's for the better. But still, let's see that first corner. Let's see how they get through it. Just to start in just mainly the start is very important for this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Redgate is obviously it's a difficult corner anyway, because it's it's a very open corner, but it's very easy to get wrong. You know, when you exit it, you need to turn in not too early. You want to be going nice and wide on the straight to get a good entry into it. But if you run wide over the curbs and onto the grass, you can soon lose a lot of time, and that can take time out of your lap all the way down through Hollywood and Craner Curves. So it's going to be very, very important for these guys to get a clean start. And it has to be said, there are a lot of new guys on the grid tonight. There are a lot of guys that haven't raced together before, and there's a lot to be said for racing with people that that you race with regularly. You tend to get to know the drivers around you, so there are a lot of new faces tonight. So hopefully not too many people trip over each other, and we do get a good clean start. Hopefully everybody's sensible. Definitely Charlie Crossland will be hoping that they're all sensible so he can get away at the front, but it'd be nice to see if that Porsche that's lined up alongside him can give him a little bit of a challenge maybe. What's your thoughts at this point, Mark, when you dropped onto the grid and you've just had a nice warm dry qualifying session and you can see the heavens have opened?
Yeah, me personally, well, I'm always joyed when it's raining, because I like to race in the rain, and that's more often, and I'm faster in the rain than I'm on the dry, so I like it. But I think if I'm looking here at the grid now, it's raining. If Charlie gets a chance to get into the first corner, I think we don't see him back again, because Charlie is also very, very good in the rain. And the Porsche, I don't know if they're so fast. It's a new track. Don't know if the people know it very well at the moment. We're only doing it for a few days. Will be difficult, but let's see what happens. But me personally, I always like the rain.
Yeah, it's a good leveler. I know there'll be a few guys that haven't managed to get as much practice in as some of the others. Will be thankful of the rain, because it does tend to level things out for everybody. And it's a case of it does definitely level things out. I won't say it makes it easier. I hesitated because I was going to say it makes it easier. It's definitely not easier. I mean, the concentration levels go through the roof. It's
not easier, and I'm thinking, did these guys even do one single lap in the rain on this track? It's a new track, so I don't know.
Exactly, it's a new mindset.
Did they practice it?
It's a new mindset for this. It's something they haven't experienced up to now. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a challenge for a lot of the guys. As we were just saying, a lot of them haven't raced together before. A lot of them won't have raced on this track in the wet. And some of the guys, this is the first time they've raced at Donington Park. And certainly in ACC, it is a new track to ACC. So some of the guys have not raced around here before. And hot lapping is very, very different to racing, as we're about to find out. I mean, have they got a setup? Probably not. Have they got the right tyre pressures in the wets? Will the temperatures be okay? There's so many questions, and we won't know the answers, I don't think, until we've got into Redgate for the first time to see how many come out the other side. And all the answers to the questions won't be found out until the very end of the race, and we see who's still there.
Yeah, but seeing place number 4, Miles Dixon, who everybody knows who's racing, is a fast driver. So let's see for that first corner if he can actually sneak up and come next to Brinkman on the first corner.
Yeah, good shout, to be honest. I mean, there's a few drivers. I mean, don't count any of the guys out, because there's Azalovic Adam. He's a very, very good driver, and he's a very consistent driver. And in the wet, if you can be consistent, it can get you a long, long way. But the guys are now coming round to go onto the start-finish straight. They're all lined up 2 by 2, and it is going to be down to Charlie Crossland to get us underway once he sees those green lights, and he's going to be making a charge for that first corner into Redgate. Now we are underway, I believe, and Charlie has got away clean. He's managed to stay in front of the Porsche. He's just holding a middle ground to stay defensive. A little bit of contact from the Porsche, but that's cost the Porsche. But is that Dixon? It was your shout right? Is that Dixon that's got through into second place? It is, Brian. Well, good call from you there, as the rest of the guys are streaming through down into Craner Curves, and it's going to be very, very interesting as they're going down there 2 by 2. But Charlie Crossland has got the lead, but Miles Dixon is not giving ground. He's he's made a fantastic start, and he's right on the back of Charlie Crossland.
Yeah, a little bit of a touch in the beginning there from Charlie and Brinkman. Race incident, I think. Difficult to say, but very lightest of touches. But it just gave Brinkman, like, he didn't get the turn and he wanted. But yeah, Miles right back on Charlie. So, I didn't know if I predicted it right, but I've seen Miles before, so maybe that's just why.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's Yannick Muller, the leader of the GT4s at the minute. Actually, they're still with some of the GT3s, and they're actually passing some of the GT3s at the moment. One of the Bentleys there has just been in a little bit of bother. But yeah, Yannick Muller has made a good start, but he's outbraked himself totally there, and he's missed the S's completely. It's going to have to be a safe rejoin at the other side, and he's got back on, but he's going to lose a couple of positions there. So the conditions catching him out. But we did see slightly earlier, obviously, Miles Dixon jumped into the lead, but Leckie also got past Crossland, and Crossland is relegated from pole position to third place, all in the space of the first lap. Miles Dixon looks to be trying to stretch a lead a little bit. He's not got a big lead. Obviously, we've only got one lap down, but he's got half a second on second place at the moment. So in these conditions, one lap in to get half a second as Crossland's trying to get back down the inside of Leckie through Hollywood and into Craner Curves, and it looks like he's got that job done. So great move from Charlie, good recovery. He's getting into the race, but Leckie's not letting him have it all his own way. He's trying to get through the old hairpin on the inside, and they went through there almost 2x2, but they come out the other side 2x2, up under where Starkey's Bridge would have been, and Crossland pushing Leckie way out wide, and I think Leckie had to get out with the throttle there and just fall back in behind Crossland.
Yeah, it's just about that first corner again. Charlie got it perfectly right coming out of it. Leckie went over the curb, not maybe getting the traction down as Charlie did. So yeah, it's all about staying away from the wide lines, bit of touching, bit of rubbing, but definitely stay on track. Either when you come off, grass is wet, you get a lot of pickup on the tires and tires getting cold. So rather stay on track, lose a couple of positions, but don't mess up your tires.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just looking at Aaron Martin Pilkington there, who's the leader now for the GT4s in the Ginetta. So Aaron has managed to take advantage of Yannick's mistake, and he's managed to get himself up into the lead. But I believe we can see behind that there's a Porsche of Vidago there, and Passport, but that's Kieran Vidago outbraked himself into the Melbourne hairpin there, and he's gone way wide, and that's going to cost him lots and lots of positions. So unlucky for Kieran, but Miles Dixon back at the front is absolutely running away at the moment. I would say this chap has done some testing in the wet, because he's pulled out a 2-second gap on Crossland already. I think what is holding Crossland up though is the fact that he is battling at the moment with Leckie in third place.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a fun race. GT4s, very compact cars. GT3s, very big cars, a lot of power. Getting it set down to the tarmac in the rain, it's going to take some turn for it. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Adam Mazalevich there in 12th place. Adam is I called him at the beginning when they're on the formation lap. Adam will be consistent. I expect him to move up from where he is at the minute, currently showing in 11th place as he goes through the S's. Nice line through there, good exit, and it looks like he's going to make ground and start moving forward. He's going to get some laps in, and like I say, I think he'll be definitely into the top 10 by the end of the race. We've got Cameron Hawes now coming under pressure by the looks of it from Jack Young, who gets down on the inside of him, but Cameron's got the cut back there, and it's going to be a drag race between the Porsche and the Aston now as they're heading down to Redgate, but it looks like the Porsche's managed to stay in front.
Yeah, it's going to be good to see, because as they were sitting on the start line, you could see the cars jumping up and down frantically, trying to revise the setup for the wet. So better driver, better car, better setup. It's all in the mix. But definitely, GT3s, they have to worry about the power down. Maybe even change the engine mapping a little bit, so they don't have to worry about throttle position and stuff like that. But yeah, more experienced drivers know this. Less experienced drivers probably just go for the full map. So you might see some changes through the race, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, and the pressure's being applied at the moment all the time. There's no quarter being given between these three guys at all. We've got Hawes, Young, and Dalitelo, but they're really putting the pressure on. And this is just a little bit of contact there between the two teammates, which Hawes has just got a little bit of a breathing room at the moment, and he's going to go through the Melbourne hairpin and get through there with that breathing room intact, and maybe you can just get a break on those guys now. But we have got battling all over at the moment, as we've got Aaron Martin Pilkinson there is just going to get overtaken by one of the Mercedes of Jackson, that is, that's just making his way back up. But Pilkinson's got a decent lead there. He's probably got a couple of seconds on second place, Passpon in the 444 Ginetta at the moment. So Pilkinson doing a really good job. At the moment, there's Vidago recovering, I believe, from that outbreaking into Melbourne hairpin, but he's got Pixley in front of him, and he's trying to get a move done on him there. As we can see, Dunn and Fitzgerald in the background, the two Ginettas scrapping like crazy in the braking zone. I think that was Dunn that was getting crossed up, maybe going into the braking zone, but it's looking like Pixley's making it very difficult for Vidago to get past him, and he's struggling at the moment, but he's got the cutback and he's going to try and get the drive out of the corner and get alongside the Ginetta, which he's done, but he's going to be on the outside for Redgate. But is he going to get round the outside? He's going to keep it there, he's going to keep it pinned. This could end badly for him, but I think the respect has been shown, and they've gone through their 2x2. They're going now through Hollywood, and they're going to carry on going 2x2, but I think Vidago's going to fall in behind now respectfully and following through Crater Curbs and into the old hairpin. So yeah, that was some good clean racing there, and you've been involved in plenty of that, Mark.
Oh yes, yeah, especially in the rain. And I was looking at Miles Dixon, currently the leader in the GT3 class. I raced him in was it Kialami? We had 90 minutes of rain, and he is fast. He's very fast, and yeah, he will do good. But now I'm looking at the GT4s. It's quite fun how they race, and a lot of people seem to have chosen the Ginetta, and it's about the only cars that I see, Ginettas and a few Porsches. But yeah, racing in the rain, it's fun, absolutely.
I think the reason we're seeing a few Ginettas is just for the guys watching. If you don't know, Simsport Racing are launching the Ginetta British Sprint Series in the next couple of weeks, and they're obviously all on British tracks, and it's just all Ginettas. So I think some of the guys have taken the opportunity to do a little bit of testing in this fun race around Donington Park. So it's interesting to see how they get on. Obviously it is good testing to be doing it in the wet as well, but here we have Aaron Walker, who is currently second in the GT4s, but only just. He's got Passpon and Muller in close attention, and Pilkington is just up the road by about 2.5 seconds it is now. So I think Walker is trying to close in on him, and as long as these two behind him give him the opportunity to keep his footing, and as you see him just ran a little bit wide there on the exit, and the Porsche got a little bit crossed up, but Aaron got it all gathered back up, and he's kept it pointing in the right direction, and he's trying to close in on Pilkington. But mistakes like that are going to cost him valuable tenths, and he's not going to catch Pilkington, but he's going to fall back into Paspont's hands. And although Paspont's just outbraked himself there and gone into the gravel at Coppice, so that's cost him a position. Now Walker's got Muller behind him, and Muller is no slow driver. We know that, don't we, Brian?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I raced with Aaron before, and definitely calm before the race, and very calm during the race, and yeah, joined your channel. All of a sudden he's just passed you. So yeah, definitely a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, as you said, Steve, if they could work together, they have a chance to catch up. And it seems like they have a little bit of a distance between them. So let's hope for the best and get a good 1, 2, 3 race going on.
Yeah, I love the way you say if they work together. You make it sound like these racing drivers want to work together, but they very rarely do. They just see the position ahead of them as their target. They don't maybe always see that we're going to work together to get 2 or 3 places up, because if you've caught the guy in front, you always feel like you need to get past him because you are going to be quicker and you're going to close that gap down quicker. And obviously he doesn't want to let you past, and you end up slowing each other down. So yeah, in an ideal world they'll work together, but not often that you see these guys working together. As we've seen, Jack Young and the Cameron Hawes battle is still going on, and it's looking like obviously Jack Young has got back past Hawes, but Hawes is still on his tail, so maybe it was a mistake, because it looked like Cameron was actually pulling a gap out at one point, but he finds himself stuck very closely up behind that Aston Martin once again, and challenging as they now come down through Hollywood and heading towards the Carrera curves once again.
Yeah, it's fun to see how they all come into place. Dixon still in the lead by 2.3 seconds by Brinkman in the Porsche, which I would imagine this weather, Porsche all-round good car. That would have been my car of choice for this sort of scenario with the rain, not knowing it would be coming. But Porsche is one of my favorite cars in the GT3 models, so yeah. But coming down through all the scenes, yeah. But if they know a little bit about having to catch up the guy in the lead in the GT4s, as we talked about working together, being in the battle of it for second or third place for an hour's race, which is a bit longer race. They also know that the battle between them would take out more distance to the guy in the first place. So hopefully, yeah, them racing with each other before, as I know they have respect for each other, which is fastest. I don't know. I wouldn't care to speculate, but they're both fast. So I'm hoping both of them have that mindset, saying, "Okay, I'm going to do what I can to push, and hopefully we can catch up to the first place."
Yeah, absolutely. But looking like we'd just seen one of the Pulse Simsport cars off onto the grass there, and that was the race leader, Miles Dixon. Big mistake from him, and that has now dropped him down to what will be around about 4th or 5th place, I believe. I was just focusing the cameras on Charlie Crossland, because Charlie Crossland seemed to be losing out. He dropped off the pace a little bit from that early pole position, as we're now seeing them come across the back markers of the GT4s. But yeah, big mistake from Miles Dixon there, and that just shows how treacherous these conditions can be. And again, like we said earlier on, it's a new track to the guys. They haven't got a lot of track time here. They certainly haven't got a lot of experience in the wet, so the mistakes are the things that are making the difference at the moment. But Crossland is looking to try and move up a bit past Leckie into second place, and just try and consolidate and recover back up to the lead, because that's where he was at the start. He had the pace in the dry, but he's just struggling in the wet. But now we're coming up, we're just seeing them putting a lap on Mark Raddenbury in the Porsche GT4. So yeah, it hasn't taken them very long at all, 15 minutes, and they're already putting laps on all the GT4s.
Yeah, that's unexpected, to be honest. I would imagine 9 or 10 laps. Also, well, mainly in the dry weather. But yeah, still the GT4 should be. There should be a bigger difference between them and rain, being a smaller agile car than the GT3s. But yeah, and again, stuff happens. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was we just saw there Yannick Muller past Aaron Walker, and it almost looked like Aaron let him go past. So maybe Aaron's in that mindset of working together with Muller to catch Pilkington, because Pilkington's up the road by 3 seconds in the Ginetta in the lead of the GT4s. And yet, like I said, that was a very easy position for Muller to take from Walker. Muller, we know he's got similar pace to Walker. Muller was on pole position for the GT4s till he made that mistake and went off the track and lost the lead, but he's working his way back through. So I think maybe Walker was just thinking, you know what, I'll let him through instead of trying to defend and slow down. And like you said, Brian, maybe they are working together. Maybe they're trying to get catch up to Pilkington, as we can see Pilkington just in the foreground of the shot there. So he's literally just under 3 seconds now. So they are closing the gap on him.
Yeah. I hate to say that I told you so, but still, these guys knows each other from GT3 racing, and they also know where they are position-wise. So if Aaron felt, as I think he did, that Jannik was faster than him, and they still had a little bit of space to gain to Aaron, I would have done the same. There's no worse having a guy sitting right on your tailpipe, having to worry about it, defend, then just let him go by and hopefully let him drag you up to where the battle is.
Absolutely, a sensible decision there from Walker by the looks of it. But we've got Markenstein in the Honda now, putting pressure on Ennis in the Bentley, and that Bentley's looks to be a little bit of a handful in the way. He's missed a few apex, he's running a little bit wide, and the Honda gets the job done now onto the start-finish straight, and he's gained that 14th position off him. But again, you know, with 43 minutes to go, there's a long way to go. There's no mandatory pit stops. It is lights out to checkered flag racing. These guys will have fueled up, or hopefully they've fueled up to the end of the race. They won't need to swap tyres. They will just be. It is a sprint race to the flag now. So it's about consistency. It's about staying on the track. It's about not running wide, making silly little mistakes. But we can see the guys are battling hard throughout the field. We've got Jackson there in the Ferrari of. The number 69 Ferrari there just ran very, very wide and lost a lot of time. He went from literally being nailed onto the back of that the Mercedes to trailing him by about half a second to a second now. So it just goes to show how easy it is to lose time and how consistency will win the day.
Yeah, people getting off into the grass, not helping him, trying to maintain the position, but still also about the difference in the cars. I mean, Bentley, big heavy car, but really good in the dry. Otherwise, have people got chance to turn it around to get it set up for a wet race, or are they just doing it on the fly as what they think is best, compared to one of the Hondas or nimble little cars, maybe a little bit underpowered, like the Porsche, you know, good all-round car. So yeah, it's going to be exciting because people start to learn to drive with the conditions. Maybe change the engine mapping to suit the driving, and now GT4 is coming into the mix. Oh, it's going to be exciting.
Well, another interesting fact is that Miles Dixon obviously is on a recovery drive after making that mistake, but he's lapping around about a second faster a lap than the guys in front of him. So he's closing quickly on them, especially as they're coming through the back markers. But again, we just saw him there running a little bit deep as he went through Goddard's, so it's cost him a little bit of that time. So I'm guessing this lap, indeed, he was lapping at the same pace of those guys. They're doing round about the sort of low 34s, whereas Dixon had been doing low 33s. There are other guys on the track. Jack Young, he was doing high 33s, so there are other guys in the 33s, but Dixon was in the low 33s, and like I said, lapping around about a second lap faster than the other guys. So if he can keep his lines and hit those apexes and not run too deep in those braking zones, he potentially can, you know, recover and get back up to the front. We're seeing the GT3s now having to carve their way through the GT4 traffic, and the GT4 drivers doing a really good job to stay on the line in what is difficult conditions. Obviously they're still racing, and you know, these GT3s are trying to hustle their way past, as we've just seen Crossland there going through and just been you know, bullying the GT4s a little bit, but they all managed to stay on the track. And that's Dixon again in the background coming across the grass. He's pushing very, very hard and he's making mistakes, and it's not doing him any favours whatsoever, is it, man?
No, there's an unwritten rule that the GT4s have to stay on their line, and so the faster guys they have to pick their moment to overtake them. But now I'm looking at some cars and I see they're racing different lines. They're trying to cool down their tires, and that looks like there will be less rain. And if you have to start cooling your tires, then there comes a moment that is probably best to get into the pits and get slicks. But this can be an interesting race.
Yeah, we can see a little bit of a line developing, but it is still raining, so I don't think you'll probably know better than me, Mark. I've not done a lot of racing recently, but I would say that they're probably better staying on the wets at the moment, like you say, and probably just driving offline to keep the tyres cool when they need to. But we're just seeing the lead now for the GT4s. Muller has caught up that 3 seconds to Pilkington. He's dropped Walker by 2.5 seconds, so Walker has not got the pace that Muller is showing, and neither has Pilkington, because Muller has closed right up onto him now, and he almost got past him going through the Melbourne hairpin. I don't know if you saw that, but literally Pilkington was defending for his life and managed to hold onto the place. But that Ginetta's going to have to become very, very wide, I think, to keep that Porsche behind it for much longer.
I think that Yannick has set his car a little bit more to the rain than the others did. What a lot of people do is hoping for dry weather and stay in the setup they have and just change it to wet tires. But if you have a good rain setup, you always will be faster. But if the track dries up and your wet setup on a dry track, it will be the other way around. So it's always interesting.
Well, Mark, do they need to worry about the rain tires lasting for an hour?
If it keeps wet enough, they can last for an hour. Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you make a good point there, Mark. I mean, I think it's with the wet tyres, it's all about the temperature, isn't it? It's a case of keeping them in the operating window, because if you just stick to the, as you can see there clearly on the screen, I won't say a dry line, but there's a drier line, and if you run on that all the time, then your temperatures are going to go up. But we can just see Pilkington there, he was running offline slightly, so that says that he's trying to keep the temperatures down a little bit maybe, and he's trying to keep them in the operating window for the maximum grip that he's got. But he's doing a good job at the moment of holding Muller back as they come down the Carrera curves. They have got a couple of GT3s that are trying to hustle to get past them, so it's going to be interesting to see if that interferes in the battle anyway as they go up under Starkeys now. The GT3s have opted to go around the outside, keeping the GT4s tight to the inside. The first one's gone past. Pilkington still in the lead of the GT4s with Muller up behind him, and the Ferrari is going to nip down the inside by the looks of it. And I make that sound very easy, but it's not. But the Ferrari is managing to, he's got up the inside of Muller. He's got himself between the two of them, which Muller won't be happy about, because that might just hold him off a little bit and drop him just maybe out of the slipstream of Pilkington. But the Porsche's got some good strong legs on it, we know that, don't we, Brian?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, let's see. I think Yannick is going to take this. GT3 is coming in the way. Fair enough. He's got the pace. He's definitely got the speed for overtaking Aaron. So I think it's just a matter of time. Yeah. I'm still just worried about the tire usage.
Yeah, it was Muller there. Pilkington just ran a little bit deep and Muller cut back to the inside, but it's Pilkington's now got the inside corner of Goddard's, so he's going to get the run down. It's whether Muller can get it turned and on the power any quicker to get a run in, but I don't think he can, although it's looking like he's trying to get alongside and get on the inside for Redgate, and I think he might just be able to do enough. There is a GT3 up behind them that's looking like it wants to be passed, but he's been a little bit respectful and he was just hanging back there. I think he was giving them room. He appreciated they were battling. Muller runs wide, gets very out of shape. That's going to give Pilkington a little bit more breathing room. The Porsche now nips down the inside through Hollywood into Carrera curves, and Pilkington now he's going to be able to breathe again and probably breathe a sigh of relief, Mark.
Yes, absolutely. Well, to be honest, Yannick, he is a very fast driver. You can put that guy in any car, and he will be fast. I'm racing him in the GT4 series that we are doing, and I have the same car as him. Yannick is really pushing it, but we are racing the Chevy in that series, and he is so fast in that. But Aaron Pilkington, he really likes the Ginetta, really pushing it. But it can be very, very interesting, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd agree there. Obviously, in the community, we talk in Discord, we chat away, and I think Aaron's. I've never heard him sound happier and more enthusiastic than I have done since he switched to the Ginetta, and he's really seems to be enjoying it. And when you're enjoying a car, I think you do drive it better because you tend to put a little bit more time into the setups. You want to jump in it, you want to do the laps, and see what you can do with it, and it's definitely proving its worth to Aaron, because he's in the current GT4 championship. He's racing very well in that. He's putting up some good battles. He's always up there with the lap times. He's not always the luckiest with incidents and things. He's had a few things out of his control that have happened in the race, as it were, but he's definitely seems to be gelling with the Ginetta, and he's really putting it to good use.
Yes, it's absolutely really fun car to drive. Actually, today I did my first laps in it on Alton Park. Never really tried the Ginetta, but it's a fun little car. You have to stay away with it from tracks like Paul Ricard, because the top speed isn't that great from it. But for the rest, it's a really agile, fun little car. And yeah, it only has one problem: it's right-hand drive.
They're driving on the correct side, Mark. That's the thing.
No. We had this discussion before.
Okay. Well, it's looking like Jan Muller. He was as close as he's ever been there behind Pilkington, but Pilkington is just taking the right lines. He's not driving too defensive. He's just taking the racing line. Again, he's happy to let Muller go up the inside there, but I think that might be a little bit of contact there. Yeah, almost, but Muller looked like he had to back out of that a little bit, but I think Pilkington was happy to let him go up the inside, and he almost gave away the position then, because Muller was almost round on him and gone, but that little bit of contact just unsettled the Porsche, and Pilkington back in front again, and battle commenced. I see Roddenberry has got a stop-go penalty. Now that can only really be for speeding in the pit lane, so I'm wondering if he's had to pit to repair some damages, and he's obviously not applied the pit limit at the correct time, because track limits is a drive-through, but a stop-go 30 is speeding in the pit lane, as indeed now we see him going to the pits to take that penalty.
Yeah, I'm still wondering about the tyre usage, but saying that it seems like top GT4 drivers are still pulling away from Aaron Walker in third place, so even though they're battling, they're pulling away, which means they have a pace like nobody else.
Absolutely. I mean, just going to take a quick look at Adam Zailovic at the minute. He's running in fresh air, but he's I called it earlier. I said he'd get into the top 10. He is up to 10th at the moment. He's lapping his best lap at the moment is a 34.8. Now, I was talking to Adam this afternoon, and he wasn't sure whether he was going to race or not, because believe it or not, this guy hadn't turned a lap at Donington ever until this afternoon. And now he's running in 10th place, so he's doing a great job. He's running pretty much on the pace. He's not doing bad at all. He's putting on a good show, so I think hats off to Adam this evening, as he just runs a little bit wide there. So I think we'll switch cards, because I don't want to put the commentator's curse on him. But we've got Alistair Leckie out in the lead at the moment, and he's jumped up into the lead, and he's got the lead by 3 seconds at the moment, as we've just seen. I think that's Markenstein in the Honda, that's just gone very, very sideways. But yeah, we've got Leckie out in the lead from Charlie Crossland, who's managed to get back up into second place. He's 3 seconds back, but Leckie's doing his last lap was a 32.7. His best lap was a 32.6. So he's putting some good laps in. He's really on the pace, and I think Crossland's going to have his work cut out to catch him.
Yeah, Crossland's quick. You've got Miles sitting in fourth. So yeah, maybe they just start to get into the rhythm. Close battles are like gone for the minute. So let's see how it evolves down through the field. It's still interesting to see some of the lines. They don't seem to have to manage the tires yet, as most of the people are running in the race line. So it seems like the weather is still enough for just staying in the racing line. But I still worry about having to go another 30 minutes. If it clears up just a little bit, they might have to worry about a little bit about the tires.
Absolutely, but I think, to be fair, we just see that was one of the other Hondas going off there just before Starkey's Bridge. Some of the guys are really struggling with some of the conditions, and it has robbed us. I think the rain's robbed us of a few of the closer battles we might have seen in the dry conditions, but we are seeing quite a lot of mistakes from the guys. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think the tyres should last them no problem. I think it is wet enough. I think, most of the guys are running on the racing line. They're not worrying about cooling the tyres off yet, although it may come to that, but I don't think we're going to see any problems before the end of the race. We're just seeing Miles Dixon there on a recovery drive, but it has to be said, it was his race to lose at the beginning. He looked to have the legs, he was pulling away, and then he's made, I think, 2 or 3 big mistakes now that have cost him a lot of time and a lot of positions. But he's a good driver. He's a quick driver, as we've said, and he will do his best to climb up from that 4th place if he can. He's 3.3 seconds back, 3.8 seconds back now, so he's making his way forward slowly but surely.
Yeah, but it seems like Leggie's sort of like found the perfect rhythm. He's out there in the front. Chris in 2nd place is not really gaining on him. So, I sort of think people found the position right now. But anything can happen. So, GT4's Aaron Yannick still battling out hard. That's going to be interesting to see.
Oh yeah, Muller just gone really, really deep there into the Melbourne hairpin, and that's cost him a lot of time. I was just about to say that this is still the closest battle on the track at this moment in time, but it looks like Muller's just made that little bit of a mistake there. And we've seen him on so many occasions in this race manage to break it really late and very tightly onto the apex and get up the inside of Aaron a few times, but on that occasion he just seemed to miss his braking point and it ran very, very wide. As we've just seen a few more of the GT3s come round now to put laps on the guys. 27 minutes left on the clock, so still plenty of time to do things, to see things happen, and more importantly, still plenty of time for mistakes to happen, Mark.
Yes. Yeah, the rain is pouring down. Probably will be so the complete race. It's difficult to race, and but it's also fun. I always like that. But I see a question in the chat of YouTube for Mr. Jordan Brennan. He is asking if we have a Discord link for Simsport. Where can you get that, Steve? Is that just in the Simsport page on the internet? Or on Facebook, where can he get that?
If he goes onto our website, there is a link there, so it's simsport-racing.com. Go there and you can see our community pages. There's Facebook, there's Discord, there is a link on there, and that would be the best place to get the link from at this moment in time. As we see in there, this is Brinkman and Hawes still battling away on the track. This is one of the other close battles on the track at the number 5 of the Brinkman Porsche, and Cameron Hawes in the Aston Martin up ahead, number 88. Cameron's having a good battle, but just running a little bit wide there. That's allowed Brinkman to close back up again. But there's just wanted to go on board with one of the guys who was up close. There's not too much spray, but the visibility, it does affect your braking markers, and it can unsight you, can't it?
Yes, if you have a lot of rain, I usually tend to go a little bit to the left or to the right behind another car. Just can't see, but this is doable. So I'm only hoping that the track is wet enough to keep your tires a little bit cool, because if they go up to over 32 psi, they will be red hot, and that will cost you your tires, absolutely.
Yeah, but look at the guys, they are struggling looking on board cameras. The amount of counter steer, just trying to horse that power down to the track, getting it lined up, trying to keep up. This is it's a it's going to be fun to see who will actually be able to harness the power in the end.
Yeah,
there's still 25 minutes to go, so a lot can happen.
Still, yeah, but still, looking at the guys just trying to control the cars through the corners, and you have some fast corners here with very tight margins, not running off. So, but still very good to see how they actually control it.
Yeah, very much so. And just for Jordan there, I've put a link in the YouTube chat for our Discord channel, so if you want to click that link, you'll be asked to take a look at the group rules, and once you've agreed those, you will be able to see lots of channels, and hopefully, Jordan, you'll be able to get involved in the racing. Although I have seen Jordan Brennan race within other communities, and he's a quick guy, so it will be a welcome addition to the Simsport community, a challenge for some of the other drivers, I'm sure. He's a very, very fast driver.
Yeah, and the community is growing and growing. I can remember that when I got in Simsport about 1.5 years ago, just a small group. But how many members do we have now, Steve? Over 600, almost 700?
It's about 730 now in Discord and 2,100 on Facebook. So it's the community is growing. I mean, to be fair, the Discord community is the active community. That's the guys that actually want to race with us, and that's where they come to race and chat about the racing. So yeah, over 700 members in there now and growing, and members of all abilities. Everybody is welcome to race with Simsport. All that we ask is everybody respects each other, and we have certain rules in place to protect good racing and be respectful to each other. But yeah, all abilities are encouraged, and lots of drivers, as we know, help each other out and help new drivers. Some of the faster drivers are only too happy to share the odd setup, and they're also happy to jump on servers and do some hot lapping and give drivers a little bit of coaching. It's really good to see within the community the actual spirit of fairness and just helping each other out all the time, isn't it?
Absolutely. We almost every evening I'm on Discord together with some other guys. It's a little group. If people come in, we can help them, no problem. Just ask, and we can help everybody. And especially, I'd like to point out a person like Adam Isailovic. He really takes his time to teach other people the lines and help with setups, and is very good at that. And like I said, we try to help everybody. So just don't be shy, jump in, ask questions, and we can help you.
Absolutely. We're just seeing two Ferraris here now battling away as they come through Hollywood down into Carrera Curbs, with a Mercedes of Jackson in very close attention as well. This is a bit of a three-way scrap, although this a little bit spread out here, not close enough to make a challenge on anybody, but close enough to take advantage of any mistakes that are made. And the Mercedes of Jackson is actually closing on the back of that Ferrari of De Gala at the moment, and he's looking like that gap is ever decreasing. In fact, De Gala almost looked to go defensive as he went through the cleans there, and he's now going up into Coppice. Is he going to be as defensive? He doesn't have to be. No, he's managed to get the Ferrari turn there on the racing line, and that gap maybe is just extending out again a little bit. But Jackson certainly is trying to put pressure on him, which is allowing the 69 Ferrari ahead just to get a break on these guys, as a back marker has now come in between them, and that's the, I won't say the frustration, because that's maybe a little bit unfair on the back markers, but when you're racing and you know, it's very easy to get frustrated by the slower cars on the track, even though they've got to get around their racing, and it can upset your rhythm a little bit, can't it, as a driver, Brian?
Oh yeah. There's nothing worse if you get into the rhythm, if you get into the zone, nailing every corner, having to battle with somebody you raced with before, you respect, and you know where you have, and just waiting for that little mistake, getting something into the mix, another car, miss your turning, miss your braking. There's nothing worse. It's like you have to reset the system all at once, you know. So it's what it makes good about these mixed classes, because even though you can say you're a faster car, when you come down to slower traffic, you have to all of a sudden think in another way, react in another way. What is he going to do? Is he going to stick to the lines or not? And still having to bear in mind that is somebody chasing you? Do you have time to let push through, or do you have to just make it go gently? So yeah, I'm just wondering what happened to Aaron in the GT4. I don't see him in third place anymore. Has something happened?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. That's a good question. I don't know where Aaron Walker you're talking about. I'm not quite sure he's there. Is Aaron Walker still circulating? But he's down in 27th, so he's obviously had an issue or two because he's well off the pace and he's just dropped back quite a bit there. But it looks like he's sort of clear in 27th, but he's a long way back from Cook in 26th. So it looks like Aaron's got quite a lot of work to do this evening.
Oh yeah, and I see Yannick passed Aaron. Well, only a matter of time, I guess. Oh, Aaron Walker 4 laps down. Oh, he must have issues. Maybe gone off track, something like that. But yeah, tricky conditions with having to battle new car, sort of like new car.
This battle at the lead for the GT4s isn't over there, as we saw Muller running really wide as he came out of the old hairpin. It took him a while to get back on the track, and that's allowed Pilkington to close right back up on the back end of him again, as we just see a car out of shot just gone off there. I'm not quite sure who that was, but Pilkington is still trying for this first place in the GT4s. He's really making that Ginetta work, and it's really struggling to find the traction and the grip on out there. He's wringing every ounce of grip he can out of it and wringing every ounce of power. As he's really trying to hang on to the back of Muller. There's no doubt Muller's got the pace on him. He can do the laps, and he's got past him. He can pull away, but if he keeps making mistakes, which he is doing, that's allowing Pilkington just to hang on, and that's giving Pilkington that little bit of hope. And as a driver, Mark, that's all you need, isn't it? If you think you've got just something on the driver in front, it can actually just help you to that extra tenth or two.
Yes, absolutely. And what I tend to do is when I'm close to someone else, I'll try to, in a few laps, to figure out what their lines are and where I may be able to pass them. That doesn't always work, but yeah, try to read the guy in front of you, what he does. And but I'm looking at Aaron Walker, and he must have problems with his car, because normally Aaron is one of the faster guys in Simsport, and I'm not used to seeing him that far back. But there must have been something wrong with the car, I think.
Yeah, we obviously something's maybe happened off camera where he's maybe come to grief with a GT3 or something like that. I'm not quite sure. We've just seen, there's two Ginettas just getting tangled up with each other there as they went through McLean's, and contact's not too good. That won't do either of them any favours. But yeah, Pilkington though, he's still really pushing to try and stay on the back of Muller, and Muller looks like he's going to be putting a lap. Is that Walker that's in front of him there? I think it is.
Oh yeah. Miles Dixon coming up into the mix. Hopefully he'll get by fast.
Just commiserations for your driver swap teammate, Mark. Mr. Raddenbury, he's realised 20 minutes in he was on dry tyres.
Okay.
And Aaron did the same, so I'm guessing he means Aaron Walker. So maybe that's why Aaron was struggling.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, Mark Raddenbury has decided to retire. He's sat in the pitch watching the stream and enjoying it. So welcome to the stream, Mark, and thanks for the update, buddy. And sorry about your misfortunes, but yeah, it's looking good at the moment. Pilkington, he's just losing touch a little bit with Muller now, and Muller's just got to get his head down. He's got to realise he doesn't need to push that hard. He just needs to keep the laps consistent. He's now got the lead. He's got the legs on Pilkington, so just try and keep it tidy. Just drive within himself that little bit and not push maybe too much. But I think it's very easy to say don't push too much, isn't it, sat here in the commentary box? But when you're sat behind the wheel of the car, you're looking for those purple sectors all the time.
Yeah, you're looking to do your best no matter what happens. And having to sort of like give the place to a GT3 coming past you is very annoying. But well, that's the price of multi-class racing. But still, it makes like today's race very interesting because you had some battles which probably wouldn't have been there if it would have been a single GT3 or GT4 race. So, but it's still rain into the mix. Wrong tires, not so good. So, but still, congrats to Aaron, even though on slicks being able to do so well in the beginning of the race. Big kudos to him.
Well,
Yeah.
to be honest, if the rain would have stopped, he would have been fought us out because the other ones had to go back into the pits, and you would have never seen Aaron back again. So
no, that's true. It's a big gamble. It's a big gamble, but
yes.
Nobody knows about the weather situation. If it's been the first 10 minutes, Aaron would have been the guy with the biggest grin on his face, no doubt about it, because everybody else would have had to have a pit stop made. So it's a gamble to take. I'm guessing that's what he thought. So, but still interesting. Again, different strategies. Again, with the setups, mindset, engine maps. Still good to see that so many cars are still in the mix. Only a few retired, so that's very good, very good.
Yeah, just focusing a little bit, wanting to talk about Lecky, because it's all too easy to forget these guys out at the front when they're doing such a good job and not having to battle with each other. But we've got Lecky, who's only 1.1 seconds ahead of Crossland. Then as they crossed the line on the last lap, Lecky did a 33.042, Crossland did a 33.090. So the lap times are albeit a couple of hundredths apart. So they're lapping pretty much at the same speed. It's just a case of waiting for Crossland. It's a case of waiting for Lecky to make a mistake to try and close that, because again, their personal best is Lecky with a 32.475 and Crossland with a 32.6. So even their best laps are very, very similar. These two guys are pretty much on each other's pace, and that gap is only there due to mistakes, I think. But be interesting to see what happens in the last 12 minutes of this race to see if Crossland can make up any of that ground. Meanwhile, Miles Dixon, the guy who's on the recovery drive after having the lead of the race, stealing pole position, stealing the lead of the race on the first lap. And again, little bit of a mistake. He's got that car set up pretty loose, but he used a little bit too much maybe of the curbs there, just leaned too hard on them and just snapped away, and he had to back out the throttle and correct the car, gather it all up, so that will have cost him quite a few seconds. And indeed, he's struggling. His last lap was a 34 dead pretty much, so he's almost a full second off the pace of the guys that he was actually beating at the early stages of this race. So he's definitely either something's amiss with the setup, Miles just isn't tuned in with the car tonight, because as we've said, we do know Miles is a very quick driver and he's a very proficient driver and usually does pretty well, but he's struggling tonight in these conditions, it has to be said, Brian.
Yeah, thinking my point of view, what Miles have done is probably not knowing the track, as we talked about, new track coming out. I'm guessing he's went and selected a setup from another track similar to this, but still needs these small twists and turns just to get it perfectly set up for this track. So it's I would have expected more from Miles. Too bad that he couldn't keep the pace up, because he definitely had the pace. As we know that he's normally very fast, and he's done ACC for quite a bit, so I can only imagine he's got a setup for the different kinds of tracks, both for the wet, for the dry. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the last 10 minutes are going to bring us in the GT3 series, because they're close, and it just seems like it could go either way, to be honest. They're both Lecky and Chris or Charlie is in two big heavy cars, so let's see where it all boils down to.
Yeah, absolutely. The gap at the front is just seesawing a little bit. I think Leckie managed to take a couple of tenths or stretch it out a couple of tenths more from Crossland, but you know, that's been the story of the race. We've just seen a Ferrari there facing the wrong ways. Obviously, just coming out of Coppice, he's just got it all crossed up a little bit. But Pilkington, he sort of seems to hang on to the back of Muller, but then Muller gets away from him, and it's almost like Muller makes a mistake, and Muller got caught up there by the looks of it with some back markers, and that's allowed Pilkington to go down the outside into the Melbourne hairpin. I'm not quite sure he's going to get that move done round there, but he's going to certainly give it a go, and he's right up on the rear wing of that Porsche, but Muller manages to keep it tight and get the drive out the corner, which forces Pilkington just to tuck him back under his wing again into the braking zone now as they go into Goddard. Pilkington with a tighter line. Muller widens the corner out on the power. There's nothing Pilkington to do there other than just follow and hang on to that slipstream, but we have got some GT3s coming in that's compromising their line, and again just Pilkington so close behind Muller. It's getting very close up at the front, and it's all about mistakes. It's all about who can keep it clean, as they're now coming through Hollywood with a GT3 looking to go around the outside as these two guys go side by side down into Craner curves. Single file now as Pilkington drops in behind. The GT3 is going to dive down the inside of Pilkington through the old hairpin. Not too sure how happy Aaron will be with that one, but there wasn't much you can do. That GT3 had been pretty patient all the way through Redgate, Hollywood and the Craner curves, so he took his opportunity there, and it all turned out well in the end, but it's just cost Pilkington a little bit of time. He's dropped off the back of Muller, but Muller runs wide. He's run very wide through McLean's, and that's given Pilkington the lead of the GT4's back. That's what we were talking about, Mark, wasn't it? Just consistency and mistakes.
Yes, absolutely. And looking at the GT3 cars, well, they have to consider that the GT4s are a lot slower, and they have to wait. But unfortunately, if you wait too long, and you will lose a lot of time. But for the GT4 cars and drivers, it can be frustrating too, because you know you have to let them by, but you're racing the guy in front of you, and you don't want to lose too much time. Because if you do, you can start all over again, and that can be frustrating sometimes.
Yep, and this is Crossland. He's closed that gap up. Obviously, Leckie's been held up or made a mistake, because it's allowed Crossland to get right onto the back bumper of that Mercedes, and he's there now looking to go down the inside to the Melbourne hairpin, but that's not going to work for him, as we're just on board with Leckie now. Let's switch and let's have a look from Crossland's point of view as he's right up behind Leckie, and see if there's anything he can do as they go through into Goddard's braking zone and through Goddard's. But he's just not quite close enough on this time. But look at that, how much overspeed he has, and later on the brakes he's very confident driver, young Charlie Crossland, very capable, and he's when he's this close to the guy in front, I think he's really going to start pushing now. He's going to really push as he's trying to go down the inside of Ginetta. Cleanly done as they go into Redgate now, and Charlie's not too compromised from that, although Leckie's managed to stretch out 4 tenths, and he's going to be safe through Hollywood, down Craner now and towards the old hairpin. He's just got some of that gap restored, and Charlie's not quite tucked up under his rear wing anymore, so it's giving him a little bit of breathing room.
How are the guys up front doing compared to Jan? I can see him 4 seconds away from Charlie in third place. Is he perhaps being a contender for this 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's Young is lapping at the same pace as Dixon behind, which is in the low 33s. These two guys, Alistair Leckie and Charlie Crossland, on the last lap with all the traffic were mid 34s, so they certainly lost out, but that's not to say that Young and Dixon have got all that traffic to get through themselves. But again, Charlie Crossland right up on the back of Leckie now as they went through the foggy S's, and they're going down into the Melbourne hairpin. Now Charlie's not close enough to do anything this time in the braking zone. For me this time, what if I was to stop Charlie, I'd be telling him just keep it tidy, keep it safe, just stay on the back, don't try and make the move too early, put the pressure on the car in front. We've got 5.5 minutes left. It's not long, but it's long enough to apply enough pressure to force a mistake or to see where you can actually get past him. All it takes is one tyre slightly off track too much curb, and it can make him back out of the throttle. We're not talking about an accident, we're just talking about him lifting the throttle just enough, and that would give Charlie the position. So Charlie just needs to keep applying the pressure and stay close enough, not try to be over aggressive and make an overtake at every single corner. He just needs to apply the pressure, and I think that will complete Charlie. If he can do that, he will be the complete racer, because he certainly has got the speed.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like Young, even though I said that he was looking at contender, it seemed like he lost a little bit on the last lap. So hopefully he'll be able to pick up some speed. I know it's maybe only 2.5 laps left, so but still these guys fighting in the front could mean setting down the pace, simply because Leggy has to do a bit of defending.
Yeah, I fully expected, to be honest, as I said, Young and Dixon, they had that same traffic to go through that Leckie and Crossland had, and their last laps were in the mid-34s, so definitely, as we're seeing the GT4 get a lap put on him there, and Crossland again. He seems to really close up on this section of the lap, from Foggy S's through the Melbourne and here into Goddard's. He's always on the back of the Aston Martin in front, and it's then through Redgate, Hollywood, Craner curves that the Aston seems to manage to stretch its legs and just put half a second on Charlie, just sort of get away enough so that he's not under pressure in the braking zones. It just seems to be repeating itself every lap, so that seems to be fairly settled. But we've just seen, I think that was Muller that they just lapped, and that's Aaron Martin Pilkington that's just up ahead of him. Indeed it is. So Aaron Martin Pilkington is just going to get lapped by the leaders of the race. That's the leader of the GT4s just being lapped by Leckie. And look at Crossland. That compromised Leckie when he had to just get out the throttle, that slight second just to get out the throttle to get past Pilkington. Pilkington did nothing wrong, he was just taking his line, but Leckie just had to get out the throttle, and that allowed Crossland to pounce straight onto the back end of him. And that's what I mean, he just needs to still keep himself close enough to do that, and now he's going to be very, very close as they go down down the straight and into Foggy S's this time. It may be that he manages to stay close enough to get into the braking zone, into the Melbourne hairpin.
Yeah, it's again with multi-class, you get these small bits of excitement with the slower cars coming up in front of you, and especially battling. Oh, it's so difficult to keep a cool mind about it, because you're only 2.5 minutes away from the end. You know, this overtake could have meant maybe winning the race, keeping first place. But yeah, let's see, they're very close, and right now anything can happen in the GT3s in the top, that's for sure. And it seems like Young, he's still sitting just over 4 seconds in third place, so I don't think he's be a contender for the top 2 places there. So, and yeah, Yannick Müller is only slightly pulling in on Aaron in the GT4. So is Aaron able to do maybe how much 2 laps left? So yeah, there's definitely going to be a fight to the end in the GT3s, definitely.
Yeah, Charlie is certainly trying to put the pressure on Leckie at the minute, and he keeps managing to close up on him. But yeah, definitely, like you said, Pilkington, he's got just over 2 seconds advantage to Muller behind him. So if he can just stay out of the way of the GT3s, drive his lines, keep it clean, potentially for this, what is going to be going on to probably the last lap, is probably going to be okay. And it's his race to lose at the minute regarding the GT4s. But back up at the front, Leckie is still under pressure from Crossland, albeit he's not quite as tight as he was on the previous lap behind him. He's not going to be able to make him defend like he did on the last lap, but he's still there, he's still large in his mirrors, he's still putting the pressure on him. He's got the drive out the corner, but so has Leckie. There's nothing in it between these two guys. It's come down to the last 45 seconds now. They're going to cross the line and go on to what is the last lap of Donington Park in this 60-minute race. And there's just nothing between them. They're literally lapping at the same sort of pace they have been. Their personal bests are within 10th of each other. Crossland right up behind Lecky now as they go through Redgate into Hollywood, going to come down Craner Curves for the last time. Is there anything Charlie can do? He will be frantic. He knows this is the last lap. He's seen the clock counting down. We're into the last 10 seconds, so this is the last lap. He just lost a little bit of time there as he ran over the curbs. Nothing he could do through the old hairpin. He just needs to concentrate on getting on the back of that car. Again, he's lost it. He's on the grass. He's making the mistakes. He's pushing too hard. And I think he's just given the win to Lecky.
Ah, that's too bad. That's too bad. I actually saw Charlie being able to push it all the way to the end. So, but just goes to show that, yeah, you try everything. You're trying to find that little 10th, maybe 2/10 on a lap. You know where your opponent is a bit slower, and maybe try to gain a little bit by that. So, but yeah, too bad, too bad. But it seems like Yannick Müller is really pulling up now to Aaron. So, but still 1.5 seconds it's a milestone.
Absolutely, when you're on the last lap of the race, it is a long way, but it might be close enough that he can put some pressure on us. We're just going to watch Lecky come round the final corner. We've followed very, very closely by Crossland. Crossland's turned him. He actually tapped the back end of him there. He turned him on the last corner. Is he going to wait for him? Is that going to cost them? As Young's probably going to go around there now, as he... Crossland takes the checkered flag, followed by Young, and Lecky takes third place. So I think Lecky might have something to say about that one, because Crossland definitely tucked up behind him and just gave him a little tap. But here's Aaron Martin Pilkington with Muller very, very close behind. Pilkington takes the win for the GT4s and Muller in second place. I think, yeah, that's a bit of a hollow victory for Charlie Crossland, it has to be said.
Yeah, you see him slowing all the way down to on the straight. I know you can see him. He didn't accelerate after the incident, so he definitely knows what's going on and what he did. So
that looks like somebody running out of fuel to me. That looks like Detelaware running out of fuel. He was just battling away with Cameron Hawes there, but he literally went through foggy S's and there was no more. So Cameron Hawes is going to take that 6th place. Dixon in the pits, so did he feel light? And he went round, but yeah, it's been a good race this evening. It's been made a change from a pleasant Saturday evening just to have a fun race at Donington Park, chaps. Yeah, what were your thoughts on that one, Mark?
Well, Steve, at first, thanks for inviting me to do this commentary. It was fun. It's the other side of what I'm used to. Normally, I'm in the car. Now see how it goes on the other side. So that was a little bit of fun. I think we saw a good race. Aaron Martin Pilkington had a good win. Good fight with Yannick. Too bad what happened in the GT3s. I think Charlie should have waited. That would have been the nice thing to do. And sorry for Mr. Lecky. Don't know him. I think he's one of the new guys probably, and also Mr. Young. Don't know him. Also, are these the guys that come from VRRC? That's what Simsport has partnered with.
Potentially, yes. We've had quite a few new drivers joining Discord over the last few days, and it's good to see. And yes, we've got the partnership with VRCC. With regards to running ACC events and some iRacing stuff. That club runs a lot of Assetto Corsa and Project Cars too, so lots of stuff to get involved with those guys. But yeah, difficult one that for Charlie. Yeah, like you say, the gentlemanly thing would have just been to sit and wait for the other guy, but I'm sure that'll be discussed after the race in great length, probably with Charlie. Brian, your thoughts on the race before we wrap up tonight?
I think Brian left. Something went wrong.
Brian has had a disconnect, so we've got a technical. But all that, I just wanted to say, Mark, thank you very, very much for joining us this evening, and hopefully it won't be the last time you come to the commentary box. Hopefully you did enjoy it, and it would be great to have you back at some point. I will say thank you to Brian. That was his first go in the commentary box as well, even though he's disconnected with a technical issue at the minute. But thank you very much to Brian. Thanks to all the guys that took part, and thank you very much to everyone who's watched tonight. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, because it really does help us. Hit the notification bell and like the videos if you like them, please. And we will see you back on Wednesday night for the GT4s, for what is the final round of the current GT4 Championship, and you can catch up with a few real world race drivers in there with us, one of those being the Jensen Button. So some great action on the track. Mark, will you be racing on Wednesday night?
Probably yes, and I can assure you I have a lot of practice to do, because I've never raced Snetterton. This evening I did my first few laps on it, and it's a difficult track, so I have work to do. But I think that will go for a lot of the guys. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, from me, good luck to you, Mark, for Wednesday night.
User joined
and
your channel.
For everybody else watching, thank you very, very much for watching this evening, and hopefully we will see you on Wednesday evening for the GT4s. Thank you and good night.